There she is. Commissioners in there.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the February 24th meeting of the Hancock County Area Plan Commission. We ask that you please turn off all of your cell phones and electronic devices. Our first order of business this evening will be the approval of our November meeting minutes, actually, and the 5 people here that were there. Myself, Dean Fout, Wendell Hester, Byron Holden, and Lacey Willard. So I need a motion to approve those minutes as submitted electronically. I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the November meeting minutes as submitted electronically. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, 5 approved.
I abstain. Right?
Yeah, it was just the 5 of us that were there. Then our second order of business would be the approval of our January meeting.
On the, Mr. President, on the January 27, 2026 minutes, one correction, Janine's first name is misspelled on the front page. So I'd want that corrected. Other than that, for the present part, it was spelled right elsewhere. Other than that, with that correction, I make a motion to approve the January 27, 2026 minutes.
Second.
Okay.
Question first. Should Byron's name be on both sides, present and absent?
Yeah.
Oh, he shouldn't be.
Was he present?
He
or
was here by
absent?
spirit, but I know, but
He was here?
physically.
By spirit.
Oh, by spirit, so he was, so scratch him from the present, okay. Okay, so it's been, you want to update your,
I update motion
Okay.
that Byron's name be striked from the present side.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the January meeting minutes submitted electronically with the noted corrections of the misspelling of Ms. Gray's name and removing Byron from the present column. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, I'd like you to advise everybody that all testimony this evening is being recorded. It'll be taken under oath. We request that anyone that wishes to speak will do so only when called upon. We ask that you face our attorney to my left and be sworn in before speaking. All persons speaking will be asked to give their full name for the record, and please spell your last name so that we have accurate meeting minutes. Please speak directly into the microphone, and likewise for me, if you're not hearing me, just raise your hand and I'll speak more directly into my microphone. Kayla will give a staff report. That staff report is then followed by the petitioner, who is given 10 minutes for their presentation. That presentation is followed by 10 collective minutes for any remonstrators, and then we offer 5 minutes for any government officials to speak on the petition. We then offer 5 minutes to the petitioner for rebuttal. Our attorney will offer a 2-minute and 1-minute warning as your time is expiring. We ask that all persons this evening conduct themselves in a civil manner, and if you can't do that, we reserve the right to ask you to leave. This meeting is being recorded and streamed this evening for public viewing. By participating, you acknowledge that your image, voice, and comments may be captured and made publicly available. This meeting has been properly noticed in accordance with Indiana Code 514 1.5. With that, we will move on to our hearing items. We have 2 hearing items this evening, and then we'll have 6 other business items after that. So we'll begin this evening with item number 1, the Board of Commissioners residential rezone in Sugar Creek Township that was continued from January.
This petition for a rezone from R 1.0 residential to institutional is located at 3212 West 100 South. It is in Sugar Creek Township. It is located south of US 40 along Sugar Creek, adjacent to the town of Spring Lake, at the very end of South 300 West, which is a dead-end street south of 40. However, a parking pad is being installed at present along West 100 South, which should deter traffic from entering on 300 West. It's 41.98 acres, and the rezone is to allow for expanded parks and recreation uses. On February 19th, there was a community input session held by the Parks and Recreation Board, which is newly formed. So parkland like this is a very new development in Hancock County. The QR code on this survey is still active. There is a survey attached to it, so if anybody watching or in attendance wants to still take that survey, please do so. The link is on our Parks and Recreation Department page on the county website, as well as on the doors to this meeting room tonight. I'm going to read the institutional district intent. District intent. The institutional zoning district is intended to provide locations for large-scale public facilities, educational facilities, religious centers, and other institutions. This district provides development standards that are responsive to the unique scale and other considerations common to these types of uses. This district is further intended to reduce land use conflicts and to ensure that institutions are appropriately integrated into the community and well served by transportation routes and other necessary infrastructure and utilities. You can see the park uses here in the table to the right. P is for permitted and S is for special exception. If the square is blank, it means that it is not permitted at all in that zoning district. So for instance, at present, Nature Preserve Center is permitted in all zoning districts in Hancock County, whereas Park and Recreation Facility is a special exception in the less intensive zoning districts in Hancock County. It becomes a permitted use only once it hits CR, commercial regional, on up through industrial. So it requires a trip to the BZA. Additionally, for temporary uses that may be held at the park once it is formed, we have this section in our code to refer to. Temporary use and structure standards. Temporary uses and structures are permitted in any zoning district, provided that the use is permitted use in that zoning district. So say, for instance, there was an event of some sort that wanted to be held in this park. Let's say a music festival, temporary event. It would need to be permitted in the zoning district in order to be held at all. And that is one of the reasons we're looking at zoning this to institutional, is for interest in holding such types of activities at the park. Nothing directly in the works right now, but that was one of the thoughts as we looked at rezoning this from R1 to institutional. I have compared the zoning districts between R1 and institutional in particular. I only included uses where the use was permitted either in special exception or permitted form in one zoning district, R1, or institutional, one or the other. And I've included that again at the end of this presentation. You can see the area zoning. This is zoned R1.0 currently. The town of Spring Lake is zoned R2.5. Light pinks and dark pinks are commercial zones along US 40. And the brown to the north is residential mobile home park, Philly Estates. Green is agricultural. We did receive a survey of the site. It shows the section that was carved off the north end, approximately an 11-acre site that 9-Star is retaining ownership of for a future water treatment facility. It is not part of this rezone. The other cutout here, I'll try to kind of hover over it. So this, oh, maybe not, there we go. This area right here, that yellow square, is retained by 9-Star for water treatment facility. This section right here is the Skillman residence at the end of 300 West, for anybody who is knowledgeable of the area. And then at the end here, along Sugar Creek, this is the park property that we are looking at for rezone this evening. It has included easements across it and small well house sites that will be developed, I believe, in the future. The gray area shown on the survey of the right of the same property shows floodway. This is floodway along Sugar Creek that is protected by DNR. No permanent structures of certain types can be constructed in that area. The surveyor reviews all of it. So some of this is just for informational purposes. I want all of you to be aware of what this is and where it's at. Okay. I should also point out that due to state code, rezone is not required for public utility uses. It is considered exempt. So rezone is not required for 9-Star to put in a water treatment facility. It's also not the purpose of this rezone. Here's that site again as it's shown in our future land use map in our comprehensive plan. It's shown largely as an area for conservation open space. This is very much for park type properties. As far as implementation of this area and the comprehensive plan as it relates, it states that conservation open space should be basically remain in very large contiguous tracts and include appropriate buffer areas. And appropriate zoning districts may include the creation of a new conservation overlay district. We don't have that currently. The floodway kind of does the job of protecting it. And then also, let's see, the uses it describes above, such as large-scale outdoor recreation uses, regional parks, community parks, neighborhood and recreation. These are all things that are very much permitted in the institutional zoning district and are a good use of the conservation open space area type in our comprehensive plan. So criteria to consider as part of the rezone. Is this in keeping with the comprehensive plan? Yes. Is this in keeping with the current conditions and character of the current structures, uses in the area? Yes, it's open, it's a floodway. Is this the most desirable use for which the land is adapted? Park property within close proximity to residential and an existing trail? To my knowledge, yes. What impact on property values across the county will this have? Positive. Parks generally contribute to property values around them and are generally well thought of. Is this responsible growth and development? As park property, yes. We did receive two comment letters, one from the residents of Philly Estates with some suggested restrictions, and I've included those in your packets, and representatives from Philly Estates are here to discuss that. We also heard from Spring Lake. I believe they have residents here tonight. And there was a resident who had some concerns about the floodway that I believe we've addressed some of, but there was another person who did discuss that. So I would invite anybody who has concerns they can come up and speak when I'm done. But that's what we heard about.
So do we have somebody that's speaking on behalf of the commissioners or the Parks Board, or is your presentation the petition?
My presentation will
Okay.
act as the petition.
All
Yes.
right.
As well, so I guess then we get to drill you on questions, I guess.
Yeah.
As a petitioner.
Yeah, and real quick, before you move on, my staff recommendation is favorable with the following conditions: that the following uses shall not be permitted: airport and commercial bus/train terminal. Those are just two big open type land uses. We wanted to make sure that those were not, because they're not suitable in an area like this. So, all right. Questions for me?
All right, so where, well house 3 and 4, it looks like a dark square. Are those part of parcel 1, or is that part of, I guess, parcel 2, when they want to institutionalize?
So they are located in parcel 2, but Nine Star retains ownership of them.
So they retain ownership of parcel 1
Yes,
and the areas where the well houses will go?
yes.
So are we rezoning where the well houses will go?
I believe so, because it is in that area, but they have protections around them because they're in a well field. Yeah.
Okay.
So is there currently 4 wells, or is there 3 wells at this time?
I am not aware of Nine Star's schedule for the well houses.
Is there even any well houses at this point?
Yeah, I think currently there's 3, because they run a test a year or so ago, which put a lot of people's pumps out of
I remember that, yeah.
service wells. So, I mean, that was just a 24-hour test. So when they actually build a tower and turn all this on, not sure what's going to happen there.
Okay.
Can you clarify if that's before us this evening?
Excuse me?
Is that issue before us this evening?
The rezone of property from R1 to institutional is on the table tonight.
We have no say on well houses or what, they're a public utility, they can do what they want, essentially, by law. So the only question we have is, should this be rezoned from R1 to institutional for a park? Otherwise, they'd have to go through the BZA for a park, right? If it was R1?
Correct.
Okay.
For park and recreation facility, basically anything more intensive than in use than a nature preserve. Yes.
What was the outcome of the public information session? Was that Monday night?
There were a lot of, it was February 19th and it was at 10 a.m. There were a lot of people present. The survey's still open, so I haven't had a chance to look at the results yet. But Lace McCartney gave a fantastic presentation, and Miriam Ralles was here as well, along with members of the park board.
Okay.
Is there any type of use they're looking at that should be a concern?
No, I think that it's going to be pretty well restricted due to the floodplain concerns and then the easements shown on this plat. As you can see, a very limited amount is going to be outside of the floodplain. So I think for the most part, what I've heard is more nature type preserve, stargazing pads, other raised walkways along the wet areas, potentially a water access point at Sugar Creek, if at all possible. Trails around the site connecting to the Penzie, which is now constructed across the north end of this property. That's what I've heard. But like I said, the survey is still open. That most intensive use that I have heard any talk of is potentially like a temporary amphitheater type use. But that has not been closely reviewed against the actual layout and how feasible that is. So I would put that out.
And then I think there was probably an email from you before, but lighting concerns and, I forget the other one. Oh, you answer lighting concerns.
Yeah, I can definitely assure you that lighting will be looked at very, very closely as it relates to the park use. We have a dark sky friendly ordinance as it stands. Stargazing is something that the Parks Board has been interested in looking at as a park use, so making sure those lights are dark sky friendly. Once again, we have been trying to work with Nine Star and any utility company in any way we can on making sure that utility areas are sensitively lit at night. And I definitely in this area, residential neighbors are not going to be lit up by exterior lighting. We're definitely sensitive to that from the park standpoint.
And the other two, I think I remember reading about from People as hours and noise.
Currently, we don't have anything regulating that. I think there was some concern, especially if the stargazing use was something that was looked at, or like camps, things like that, that we didn't want to restrict the use with hours because of that. So that was the takeaway we had.
You have, and you can reserve this answer for rebuttal time, but do you want to have any comments now on the remonstrance and the 7 items, or do you want to reserve comment on these for rebuttal?
I can definitely, I've tried to kind of answer those a little bit as I've gone, which I think some of it is the nature preserve use, for example, at that rate, it should just stay zoned R1. That would be my answer on that one. As far as hours, I can't make any commitment. I don't think there is a recommendation to limit the hours from our perspective, at the park board's perspective, and an assurance that lighting will definitely be sensitively looked at and in compliance with the county's lighting ordinance.
What about the development plan and buffer yards?
The what?
Development plan and buffer yards? Do you want to?
Buffer yards? For the most part, buffer yards will definitely be handled by for the neighboring 9-Star property, which is going to be against one part of the residential area. And then the floodplain, we can't really do much there at all. So considering it is a park use, we're happy to put in tree preservation. I mean, I could see something like a tree preservation area or a designated conservation zone, or, I mean, yeah, that's something that, this is a nature area. The County Parks Department is not interested in keeping like a Riley Park level town or city park. This is much more wild nature area. So we're not looking at altering the area any more than absolutely necessary.
It's more like Beck and Holt or.
Yes.
Can you just one more time navigate me why it's the land use matrix that we have associated 156034, and there's another series. Could you just orient me one more time of which one we'll be deciding on, which series this evening?
Which page are you on?
It starts on section 2, so I do see we've got the land use matrix here.
Okay.
So we're talking campgrounds, driving ranges, golf courses, and then it continues. So you just maybe, and the only thing that you're recommending is you exclude maybe the airport and commercial, so maybe just navigate between those two for me.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we've got 2 pages of the land uses that either were permitted or special exception in R1 and are now permitted or special exception in institutional. So starting at agricultural uses. Typically in the county, we've been very friendly toward agricultural uses. I also only focused on the permitted land uses because once again, if it's a special exception, it'll have to go to the BZA anyway.
Thank you.
So that puts us at animal stables, crop production, farmers market, grazing and pasture land, livestock raising and breeding, nursery, and seed storage, distribution, and sales. None of those seemed overly out of keeping, like something like a farmer's market might be very appropriate. So I didn't want to overly limit this use. While this is under park and county ownership, any use that happens there will have to have the blessing of both the Parks Board and the Board of Commissioners. Under the institutional public uses, we had airport, cemetery, church, community center, commercial bus train terminal, fairgrounds, funeral home, government facility, non-office. The only 2 of those that seemed wildly out of line with that area were airport and bus train terminal. And that's the section that those 2 limitations came out of, that would be permitted otherwise in the institutional zoning district. In commercial uses, child care center, greenhouse, restaurant were some of the uses there. You know, something like restaurant, I don't know if that's what we would classify. If you had a shelter house with like a little, I don't know, a snack center or something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know exactly what the future holds for this site, so I left those permitted uses in it. So in communications, utility uses, there's communication service exchange, public well field water facility. Once again, our code is a little outdated, and as it relates to state code, some of these uses have been permitted by right in state code for utilities. Public well field, solar, let's see, one of the large scale would require an overlay district in addition. Utility substation, once again, we have no say over that. So that's where, let's see, okay. Park uses. Next, let's see. Nature preserve center is permitted in both R1 and institutional, like we talked about. Park and recreation facility, which would be more something like an open air amphitheater, that would be permitted in institutional, special exception in R1. So in order to have that as a temporary use, that's where we're rezoning this to institutional, so it matches up with our temporary use standards. And then more institutional public uses. We go down the list of government offices, hospital or medical center, institution for the developmentally disabled, mentally ill, library, medical clinic, museum or gallery, police, fire, or rescue station, post office, residential treatment center, school, trade or business school, university or college. Commercial uses, let's see, nursing, assisted living facility, residential facility for the developmentally disabled type 1 or 2, and residential facility for the mentally ill, retirement facility. And that's it.
The follow through. So we rezone this for institutional. And we follow recommendation to exclude airport and commercial. Can this be a permanent or temporary campground?
No, it would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special
As a
exception.
special exception, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
Yeah, so you're showing all of the permitted and special exception uses here. The type of park that this was meant to be, I'm just catching up, but I was thinking it was really just focused on the agricultural uses and park uses and not so much any of the institutional, commercial, and communications. So I was wondering if there were greater plans in the future, or if we should really be, is the county more focused on the agriculture uses, the farmer's market, nursery, campground, driving range, the typical park things, and less about bed and breakfast, child care centers, things like that.
This board is certainly able to add restrictions as they see fit. So if there's a use here that was like, that's a bit much, feel free to add it to the recommendation.
Okay. Any more questions for Kayla? No? All good?
So at this time, you don't plan on putting any time restrictions at all on the use of this park?
Like it shall be developed within a certain amount of
Now,
time.
I understand they're talking about, because of the night star, looking at that. And then if you got the Boy Scouts, they talked about camping there. But my concern would be that keeping undesirables out of there at a certain point, seemed like we want to make sure that the authorities had an opportunity to not just let everybody that just spins off that trail in the middle of the night have a place to hang out.
I would recommend any comments about that to the Sheriff's Department or the Parks Board at this time. Without knowing specific plans about the park's development, there's not much I can say at this point.
I really don't think that there's a tremendous amount of additional park other than nature preserve, farmer's market or something like that, as I understand it. So. And as far as undesirables, I mean, that happens everywhere. Can't.
It's happened quite a bit along the trail already.
Is it? Because I'm not seeing much of that.
Okay. Any more questions for Kayla?
Would the commissioners be the one that would set the hours then of the park? Okay.
Along with the park board, or we probably would
The
go
park
with
board
their-
would come to you and give you a recommendation and you would set it. So really, we can't really put anything at this level other than saying, hey, that's the Board of Commissioners' job, and they'll listen to the public and do what, what they feel is best for
Yeah.
the public.
The only thing that we can do tonight is the zoning.
But we're just getting a glimpse of what they want to do. I mean, that's what that meeting was the other day, was to get ideas from the public on what this park could be used for. And we're just getting a glimpse tonight in the presentation of what might be there. There's a lot of decisions that haven't been made on this yet, so.
Sheila, what's the status of the surveys? You said there's quite a few surveys that are supposed to be coming in, right? Are those
Yes.
things, are those surveys information that would be helpful to this board as they're trying to make decisions?
Not so much to this board as the park board. They will help decide how this site is then actually developed as a park.
I think some of the limitations, though, that they're going to set here, assuming that you're wanting them to act on this tonight, could affect the scope of what the park board can do. Because if they say, for instance, we're not going to allow one of these permitted uses, and that, I'm just thinking that that survey information may be something that would be helpful to this board as well.
That's a good observation.
Yeah, and that was sort of the basis of my question is what is the county wanting the park to be, and do we want all of these uses available? And maybe just the ag uses, I don't know what.
Yeah, we may have our cart before our horse
Yeah.
here, because I wasn't able to attend the meeting, the public meeting, but I did go down to Mary's office. She walked me through and where the public had placed their stickers on uses that they think would be good, not so good. But that's the extent of it.
It was kind of ran by the Purdue Extension. It was more like they divided into like 4 groups and said, give us suggestions of what you like or would dislike. It was just stuff to look at. There was no decisions made, or I think the public probably would have. It was in the morning, so there was a lot of people that maybe didn't get to attend it because of the time, or even knew what it was going to be. I was there, and I wasn't sure what was going on. So anyway.
All right, any more questions for Kayla?
Just one question, Kayla. Of all this land, how much can actually be a physical building? You know, like the list of all these buildings is great to have that list, but really, what will the land allow because it is in a floodplain? I mean, permission-wise, to be able to even build anything there. So, I mean, we might just be discussing something that's not even feasible at all.
That's a good point. Yeah.
For my measurement, about 8 acres is not in the floodplain.
Okay. Maybe it would make sense if we just focused on that 8 acres of what we might like to see there versus like this whole plot of land.
That's where broader uses that don't require a structure attached with them, those are permitted more in that floodway area. So something, for example, and I'm just speaking, as an example, camping. That's a great example, actually. That is a great use of our floodplain areas because it's a temporary use. We're setting up, but with the understanding that, hey, if it starts raining, you don't want to be here. You need to book it. Or things that we see, for example, in our agricultural zone a lot, is animal grazing or crop production. Things that don't require buildings are still great uses in the floodplain. That's what the majority of this site is, like you noted, which is what makes it such a great park use, is that potential. But yeah, that 8 acres approximately, that's in white up here in that corner. That's really the only buildable spot.
All right.
That part has a buffer, right? Am I seeing that right?
It does have an easement.
The easement, okay.
All right, we all good? All right, So we have some time here for remonstrators, people that would like to speak in opposition to the proposal. Be a collective 10 minutes. How many people do we have that would like to speak this evening? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you raise your hands again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 6. So,
I just want to mention that Mr. Swain is an elected official, so he may
oh, okay. We can save him for that section
May have
then,
5
if you'd like.
minutes roughly.
Yep. So
Yeah, there were 7, by the way.
there were 7,
There were 6 plus 1 elected official. You were right, there's 6, and then there's 1 elected.
6. All right. Well, we would typically do 10 minutes. Are you guys good with giving each of the 6 2 minutes? And even 2 minutes? Okay. All right. Well, I'll start on my left. Who had their hand up on the left? One of the, which one's the elected official? That wants, we're going to keep you to the last. So you're the elected official? Okay. We'll keep you for that section. So the guy behind you will come up first. So you'll speak into the microphone, swear in with our attorney, and spell your last name.
Hi, name's Tom Riddle. I own the property.
Oh,
Right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Okay, I think we did catch your name. You have
Riddle,
2 minutes.
Riddle.
Okay, go right ahead.
I own the property to the west of this park. There's a little 5 or 6 acres down in the corner of that I don't own. Last I heard, the Boy Scouts of America bought it. Then I heard that they sold it to some deer hunters. There's giving me problems, and then I don't know who owns it now. I don't mind the park. The only complaint that I've got is when Terry Skillman owned the property, he never maintained the ditch. There's a natural drainage ditch that runs from my pond to the little corner about where the property line is for the 8 acres that Nine Star still wants to keep. Is somebody going to be responsible for maintaining that ditch and getting it cleared out and cleaned out so that my front yard doesn't flood anymore?
Is that an open ditch?
Yeah, it's an open ditch.
Drainage board.
It's regulated or?
Yeah.
That's something that we'd have to take up with the surveyor and the drainage board.
Previous farmer knocked a bunch of trees down and whatnot and kind of made a bridge so he could get from that 8 acres in the front field to the back field. And at the present time, I mean, we get these 3 and 4 inches of rain. My front yard floods.
Get a little swampy over there.
It gets more swampy. But that's my main concern. The next concern, I mean, if you guys are going to open that park up to camping, I don't want a bunch of undesirables back there that are possibly in the middle of the night going to climb the fence and come over to my property. I mean, I've got a horse riding facility, and I really don't want to find somebody sleeping in my barn.
But could you tell me again exactly, are you northwest of the
West.
property?
No, I'm due west.
Due west. So due west to where they want to put in the septic field or?
I don't want to put a septic field in.
They're not going to do a septic.
It's just the,
It says Warranty Deed Riddle on your paper.
Located right on there.
oh, Riddle.
Got a
Yeah.
little,
His property is right.
I'm right there.
Here we go. Right here. This is
Yeah.
Tom's.
Okay.
But
So
I own- there's
So it
35
is
acres.
right next to where I was saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I own 35 acres there.
Okay.
Less what I donated to the Penzi Trail. And I didn't think the Penzi Trail was going to be a problem. I've had a bunch of people ride their bicycles, walk back. Had two Chinese women. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but two Chinese ladies come back here and they're trying to coax my horses up. And I'm like, can't you read the signs? I've got no trespassing, keep off the property. I mean, I even put some nasty signs out there, and obviously they can't read.
Your time's up.
Okay.
If you'd like to
All
extend
right.
it. or
We
not.
have anybody have any questions for Mr. Reynolds? No? All right. Thank you for your time.
We'll check on that open ditch question that you had too.
That's my main concern. If they can get it cleared out so my front yard doesn't flood.
All right. Who else did we have over here that wanted to speak? Sir, come on up. Yep.
So, my name is James.
Wait until you get up in
Go
the
to the
microphone
microphone.
here. Come up to the microphone.
Sorry.
All right.
Raise your right hand.
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
James Fisher, Fisher.
Okay, go right ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, when I got into this, I was, I went ahead and looked at the area that is being rezoned, and I realized that is 3/4 floodway. So that means that not only do you have to build, assuming that it's going to be flooding, you got to be about a foot over the level to put any building in. But any fill, any roads, any pads, any construction at all has to have prior written approval from the DNR. In the case of the well houses, that takes it to a higher level. Again, there's about 15 pages I was able to get of just summary of the regulations required. I was able to get off the internet before they shut down the website because of this economic things going on with HUD, Homeland Security. Anyway, so basically, a utility, which is what these well houses would be, have to be 2 foot above and have to be built so they can withstand being in this floodway. The floodway is like a river, and you can't block it. So in addition to holding up to the water, you have to do get a certificate of compliance that you are not going to raise the water level upstream by putting this structure, this road, in the floodway. And again, that has to be done, about a year to get one of those certificates of, get the exact name, but it's a certificate that they have to get from a hydraulic, professional engineering hydraulic study done. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that, the severe restrictions that are any sort of building. My question now is the road that's being put down, has that gotten prior approval from the DNR? So
Your time's up, so.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
the road that's going in, that's built in there now, I think that's covered under being construction in a floodway, which would require prior approval from the DNR.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the answer. So, all right, thank you. Who's our next person? Yep, going up, sir.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name, spell your last name.
First name's Joe, last name spelled R-O-Q-U-E. I'm a retired police officer with the Indianapolis Police Department. In my years of patrolling, parks usually close at dusk. Nobody was allowed in there. If you found somebody, you would confine them, arrest them, or cite them. Are we going to have the same, since I heard that there's no hours for this park. Anybody can go in there at midnight and do some partying out there. That's my question is, are we going to enforce those? Or do we have somebody from the Parks Department that's going to let us know if they're going to enforce the curfew laws in there?
Yeah, that would be a Parks Board or a Commissioner's question. We're just dealing with just the zoning this evening, so we wouldn't be dealing with any of the regulations on the hours and operation of the park necessarily. Yeah.
That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, that's 3. We had a 4th person? Yep, going up.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name's Brian House. I'm a partner with the law firm of Pritzky and Davis, and I represent LaDonna Skillman and her husband, Jerry. A lot to cover in 2 minutes. First of all, I would not necessarily classify us as remonstrators, but persons who offer certain concerns. Let me hit the highlights quickly. The diagrams that you have show an easement that is across the Skillman property, and that is right at the northeast corner of this park. I'm investigating this easement. It was granted basically to provide access to the park area when it was owned by Jerry Skillman's brother. Jerry Skillman sold it, and then it was immediately resold to Nine Star. There's a real question as to the legitimacy of the easement, and that's simply because of the age of the easement. I have the diagram here. It was created in 1985, and it basically is an easement across the Skillman's front yard, and you can see this. But what's interesting about the easement, it doesn't have anything that normally talks about a dominant tenant and a subservient tenant, a grantee or a grantor. Now, back in the 80s, people did that. And then along came the Indiana Court of Appeals in the 1990s, late 1990s, and said, you can't create your own easement. It's precluded by what's called the merger doctrine. If you own all the property, you don't need an easement across your own property. So why I raised that, we don't oppose the park. We think it's an interesting idea. I attended the informational session too, but we really don't want to see access to this park across the Skillman property. And truly, 300 East does dead end at the north border of their property. Access from 100 South makes more sense, but it's, again, hard to tell from the diagram, and I'm looking at this diagram in the staff report, exactly what they propose, whether this is a parking area or something else. The other comment I would echo, similar to this gentleman's,
Time's expired.
Pardon me?
Time has expired if you'd like to.
Mr. Chairman, I would move.
Yeah, you guys, okay with giving him another minute? This was kind of interesting. All right, yeah, another minute.
I'll really try
Yeah.
to be quick. Pennsy Trail, nice, but it does create some problems. People come along, they wander off. What we would like to know more about the water treatment, which we haven't heard anything on that, because this was a part of the rezone initially. Apparently now it's been pulled, and we just think that there should be restrictions if this is rezoned. Thank you.
Type of restrictions.
Hours of operation, no exterior lighting, access in particular. You'll note that there's a trail that joins the Pennsy Trail, which is great. That's on the western border of my client's property, but it would be favorable if that could be moved even further to the west to provide some separation between that access trail and my client's property.
Interesting.
And then, are you still investigating this easement?
Right. I've got the diagram. It was prepared by Nolan Gibson back in 1985, but I haven't been, even though we have an instrument number, but for some reason, somebody that I had looking on this wasn't able to locate it. But we want to look at that. But again, we Just think it would be completely inappropriate if this easement were used as an access point to this park, particularly when you have good access on a county road.
All right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Any more questions for Mr. House? All right. Thank you. Yeah. We had a fifth person? Oh. Come on up.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Darla Smoke, SMOAK.
Okay.
The reason I'm here is I'm representing Philly Estates Mobile Home Park. We have 100 residents within that park, and already we see problems with the trail. People want to come and use our cul-de-sacs to park. If you bring the park there, we'd like to see restrictions put on time. We don't want there to be unlimited open time. I understand that's the commissioners. We also would like to see restrictions put on amplified music. We are very close proximity. We already hear music coming from the other facilities, and so we'd like that to be restricted. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Darla.
Right. And we had a sixth person. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Diana Johnson, JOHNSON. The reason I'm here tonight, I think prematurely, just sitting and listening to everyone, is that they're asking for a decision to be made this evening or potentially soon hereafter for this to be rezoned. I don't think you have the substantial answers that you need to actually make that decision because we don't even know what kind of park they're talking about. And with that being said, we own adjacently to that property. There is already traffic through our trail cams that happens routinely. We are always running them off, always. It is a problem. It will continue to be a problem if there's not hours restrictions placed upon the times of coming and going. Stargazing, I'm sorry, pick someplace else to go, but not in this area. It is not safe. You have water. The creek is a highway for animals. We do not want to disrupt that, but there is a lot of vagrant that happen in that area. And luckily, one of our dogs helped Hancock County Police apprehend an escaped person. So it happens, it will continue to happen, and we finally have it under control and would prefer not to have more come in, especially from Meyer.
I have one follow-up question, if that's okay. We heard testimony earlier on remonstrance that maybe something around there is being used for deer hunting. We heard testimony maybe something around that area adjacent is being used for deer hunting. Always a concern if there's, active hunting next to a park we're looking to put in. So maybe you can...
Okay, so if you want me to specifically address my personal property?
There's hunting in the area.
We do permit the handicap veterans of certain age to come in and hunt and trap our property.
Got it.
That will continue because it is a disabled sanctuary, per se, for us.
Okay.
Where do you live, ma'am?
2972.
Okay.
You know what, do you need me to show you?
Nope, I got it.
Okay, I think maybe you've been out before?
Possibly.
All right. That was everybody that wanted to speak, and then we had the one elected official. So, okay. Come on up.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name.
My name is Andy Swain, SWAIN, and I'm the town council president for Spring Lake. I'd like to talk about a couple of things tonight. First of all, I see, at this point in time, I don't see a reason to rezone it from R1 to IN. I don't know what it gains at this point when we don't know what the park is going to be. And I think by rezoning it, we lose a little bit of control over what that property might be used for. I was a little surprised that the rezoning, I got the paperwork, very bizarre. I got the paperwork yesterday in my mailbox, but I knew about it because I was going to attend in January before it was continued. But, you know, I would thought that the parcel 1 would have been up for rezoning to IN. It's still R 1.0, and it has a public well field on it. And they have intention to put a water treatment facility on it, which is permitted use for IN and not allowed for R 1.0. So I'm a little surprised that there hasn't been a rezoning hearing for parcel 1 at this point. The other thing is, you know, IN also gives the ability for a utility substation that is unpermitted for R 1.0. I know that they would have to come to the BZA for a special exception if it was R 1.0 and they wanted to put a park on there, but I think that gives the BZA at least an opportunity to review what that park's going to be, and several people kind of talked about that. So the other item I wish to speak about a little bit, Mr. Fisher spoke a little bit about the drainage, and I heard a reference to Beckenholt. I don't think this is at all kind of like Beckenholt, because Beckenholt is a wetland. It's like a marsh. It is not next to a non-navigable waterway like Spring Lake. So this area is always flooded. It's really bad. I think any kind of structures you put, regardless if you elevate them a foot or two, I heard talk about an amphitheater. I'm a little bit concerned about what that's going to do to the drainage that takes place, because we certainly don't want to back that up and prevent that natural drainage there. So, you know, I love the natural preservation of that area there. The best thing to do is to leave it alone and just let it be a marsh, a wetland, an overflow, a floodway. So, you know, I guess my request is that I would like to ask that there be more consideration be given before the agreement to rezone it to IN, and let more definition be defined to what the park really wants to be and what they ask. So that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right. I guess we would have a rebuttal period. I don't know if Kayla, if you've got anything else you want to add with what you've heard. You guys okay with one more? Sure. Come on up. 2 minutes.
Swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name, spell your last
Name's
name.
Donald Bowden, spelled B-O-D-E-N. My question, is there a need for another park in this area? Did some research, got a whole list of parks that the county already pays for. These are all places that are maintained with taxpayer dollars. And this is an area that really has no need for development into another park. And so my comments is I think it should just stay just as it is. Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yes.
The county, I don't think the county has any parkland. So you can tell me, you can read them. I'm pretty sure they're all city parks, but you can read them.
Well, then the city pays for them.
Yeah, it's Greenfield. Yeah, the city owns, I think Township of Sugar Creek owns one, but Corsville has one. Was it over by Shirley? They have one and then they have several in Greenfield. And I know that Fortville has one too, but the county has 0 parks right now.
Well, number one, I don't think that there's a need to create another environment. I don't know how many here have ever had teenage kids. I had teenage kids, which we had to track down. But we don't need to find another hiding place for them to hide in. So, thank you.
May
I
ask you some questions if you don't mind?
Sure.
So I understand about kids. We have 4 of them ourselves. But are you aware that there was a whole process about county park system and about the quality of life pieces and our community county growing the comprehensive plan? The reason I'm asking that because in all of those, they were resounding that we do not have a park system for quality of life like other counties that are of our size.
I don't know.
And so,
I
and
go
so
to
that's why I just wondered if you had been aware or had an opportunity to participate in any of that where you had heard that.
I
Because
take advantage of all of these parks.
Okay.
We walk our dogs there, and we enjoy the parks, don't get me wrong. But this is really close, and I see this as a bribery from Nine Star to put more of their wells in. I'm one of the homeowners who lost their well when they tested their 3 wells over there at the new site, and they got more on their plan now than the original 3. And what that's going to do to our water levels, it concerns me.
Okay. So there's an issue with the will part about using the land, not just the park.
Well, again, I don't think that there's a need over there. It's way back in a little dark little corner next to a residential area, and you don't need to create a place for teenagers to hide out next to a residential area.
Well, teenagers are pretty clever. They can find all kinds of places to hide
Oh,
out.
I know.
Right? Been my experience as a parent, but everybody's different. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand your caution.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have anything else, Kayla?
I'm not sure everybody's really familiar with this area. This is truly a wetland. Okay?
I only live a mile and a half away. I know it.
And, I mean, I have concerns, they haven't decided yet. Like the canoeing, that's going to go up Sugar Creek. I guess it's okay, according to the commissioner that spoke to me, that you can use Sugar Creek as to canoe. You just can't get out of your canoe and go on anybody's property. So, and my first concern is I'm not sure, when you just go to the south where they're going to plan on putting the canoes in, there's an old gravel pit there full of fish and turtles and everything. But I do wonder who owns that gravel pit opposed to the creek itself. So, I mean, you're talking about an area that's been really quiet for the last 100 years. And the sound is an issue because even the campgrounds that's on 100 North, the sound rolls down the creek. I don't know why it does that, but the sound travels for several miles down the creek. So sound is an issue from the creek standpoint. But yeah, I would like to know. Right now, they're just guessing at what they want to do. And and how are we supposed to put restrictions on something that we have no idea what they're planning on doing? But it is, now just on 100 South there too, there's always cars off in the water.
Couple times.
Yeah, a couple times this year at least. They're just out in the middle of a swamp. They run off 100 and it just ends up into that. It'd be nice that they do something to that. And then the gentleman from Spring Lake, that part of they're talking about is those two people that they're talking about here, they own almost all the land, I do believe, that is adjacent to this park. Okay, so when they change that floodplain, totally, they build it up, they're building roads in there, they're raising the height, okay, to push that back into the creek. Well, they're actually going to push that onto all those property owners in Spring Lake. We're talking about a lot of water. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider that no one's talking about or even considering. We're just saying, we understand Nine Star's going to give us a whole bunch of acres to do whatever with, and we're going to leave it up to the park board to do whatever they want to do. So, I don't know, just my opinion.
I have a question.
I think we're a little in a hurry here.
I have a question for you. So all those things that you just identified, don't they have steps in place already in our county that you couldn't go to the next level without taking care of those items that you addressed? Like, they were going to build something, obviously there's a whole process about that, the water, the surveying, all of those kinds of things for putting a road in. I mean, don't we have, as a county, already have processes that if those were issues as we were going through them, they'd be stop gaps that you would be able to continue? I mean,
They're already doing them.
who's they?
They're building a road in there now.
Okay.
They're building the property up in the floodplain right now. It isn't, it's kind of like the gentleman was talking about, were the standards done? I assume Nine Star's very reputable. I think they would check everything out,
I
but
was going to say, wouldn't you have to have I couldn't just go build a road on any piece of property without a process. I guess that's what I'm just saying, like, if they're building a road there, there must have been things that were in place that evaluated the ability to do that? Or can anybody just go in our county and build a road anywhere?
To say that it takes a year.
Sorry, you can't
All right.
speak from your seat.
so anyway, I'm
I'm
just
just trying
making
to
you aware of,
understand.
they're building a road right now. They're
Okay.
really building it up in there. It is a floodplain. There are restrictions on floodplain, what you can do. I don't know all the rules. I know that if they were building and putting a house in and all that, yeah, the county would have already kicked in and said, no, you can't do that.
Can I ask a procedural question, Rhonda? When we make a recommendation, would it be possible for us to attach to that a requirement to have a consented waiver of certain special exceptions? We would say, for example, on the condition that, all but these 13 items, we will not apply for special exception. Is that procedurally available to us?
Are you saying that for certain uses, you would like it to go before the BZA?
We would say, with the favorable recommendation, only if the applicant waives any right to apply for a special exception under to the BZA, yeah. So for example, we would say you normally would have the right to apply for an agribusiness, but we don't think that that's the type of use, so we would request we would only give our favorable recommendation if the agribusiness is not allowed.
Oh, yeah, you could do that. You could also make it subject to a special exception too, so that it would have to go to the BZA.
I'm just thinking as a BZA a little bit here,
Right.
because this feels very BZA-like as an application, that it's we don't know exactly what's going on. And so either it's a continuance and something comes back that's a little more clear, or like this is the list of restrictions that we'd have to put in place that we've heard tonight, and this doesn't even include everything. I mean, we're talking a required development plan with enforcement plans, addressing any DNR applications, outdoor lighting, precluding musical performances, buffer yards, required hours, the adjacent hunting is a concern, maintaining of the ditch. There's just so much that maybe we don't know, that if we do put something in place for approval or recommendation, it's going to be a pretty narrow use.
I think honestly, we should continue this until the Parks Board presents.
Yeah, for me, I'm very concerned with what Mr. Riddle spoke about today. It bothered me a lot. And, but yeah, I mean, I've known since about 3 minutes into the presentation by our petitioner, which is our planning department, that this needs to be continued so we can figure it out. So, motion to continue.
Second.
All you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue this petition. Are you wanting to continue it until March, or you want a couple months to give the Parks Board some more time to look at their surveys and draft some uses and requirements and regulations and things like that to present along with it?
Do we have a date when their survey is going to be over? Kayla?
I know Miriam said something about it, but I'm not sure when it was now. I would say let's give it 2 months.
And then make sure that Miriam is here to present.
That sounds good.
Mr. President, my motion is for 2 months.
Okay.
Whatever, you can say what the April date is.
Yeah, I don't have the calendar with me, so we'll just call it the April. Oh, here it is. April 23rd. April 21st meeting. So moved and seconded to continue to the April 21st, 2026 meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, unanimous.
I might suggest that you tell the audience that they won't be
they're-
notified again.
That's a great point. There
Put it
will
on
not
your-
be additional notice, so just mark your calendar for April 21st. We'll hear it again. You might watch, looks like the Parks Board's been pretty active on the social media stuff too, so they've been there's some of that stuff I've been seeing it around.
And
so.
their Parks Board meetings are also,
Yeah, they're listed, yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody that spoke and came out for that this evening. We'll move on to item number 2, Mr. Bowling, residential rezone from R1 to CC.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I have a conflict of interest with this one.
okay. So Wendell will recuse himself from discussion and voting on item number 2.
All right. This rezone
Off we go.
request, are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. It's located at 113 West Junction Street in Maxwell. It is a rezone of 1.53 acres on just north of the Maxwell grain elevator and just south of Maxwell Intermediate School outdoor area. There is a gas line running north-south along the west side of the property. There was a residence on the property that was in disrepair that Mr. Bowling has removed and also took out a lot of the trees and shrubs that were really overgrown and has really improved the overall maintenance of the property. It is also zoned in the village overlay, I should point out. So a rezone from R1.0 in the village overlay to commercial community, CC, would allow for expanded business and commercial uses. Mr. Bowling has no desire to rebuild a home on this site and also argues that the gas line takes up a fair amount of it, which limits the location for a house and a septic system. Currently, there is no sanitary sewer at this area. And also the grain elevator behind it doesn't really make this a very desirable area to build a house. So he is more interested in rezoning this so that he could pursue a special exception for a contractor's warehouse or storage yard for a lawn care business. The property is and will remain in the village overlay district despite whatever that underlying zoning district is. This takes into consideration some of the context of the architecture and the mass of the building, things like that, which given that Maxwell, especially along Junction Street, has been fairly agricultural related, is pretty lenient, but it at least gives us some say in how this area develops and how it looks going down the road. There are residential neighbors. There's also an electric substation. Like we discussed, there's school property across the road to the north and that grain elevator to the south. State Road 9 is North Main Street on this map to give you some idea of where we're located. Okay, here is the zoning map for this area. It is currently, where it shows it's currently zoned R1.0, but you can see the property to the south, the grain elevator is zone CC. It is a non-conforming use in the CC, but it is zone CC, and ag uses like this are given a great amount of leniency. Actually, I believe we've been around this one with a little bit, and it relates to some state law even relating to ag uses like this being allowed to continue. So, across the street to the north is zone institutional due to the school use.
Question real quick on
yes.
that. You have that picture, the last picture you had a number 36 on that piece of property. The rest of them are 39s. What does 39 stand for?
So that refers to the initial rezone. If there is a rezone ordinance tied to a property, That connects us through a book system we have to exactly where that rezone occurred last time around. So sometimes you'll see the bubble number and then a little C next to it. That is that signifies that there is a commitment attached to the rezone ordinance. So anytime we see that number, it kind of clues us into an ordinance to refer to. If there's a little C in that bubble, it big time tells us, hey, go look that up, because it probably says, hey, this can't be a whatever use or whatever use. So that's what those bubbles refer you to. We typically don't refer to them unless there's a C because of that commitment that might be attached to it.
Confusing to me. I just didn't know what that
Yep.
numbers were.
I had to ask that too. It's okay. The comprehensive plan shows this property near the intersection of two land use type areas, actually three, on our future land use map. So the hatched area in this case represents planned neighborhood. The yellow represents town commercial type use. And the blue, I believe, just still represents institutional type uses. So our future land use map, these are kind of fuzzy edges where they touch like this. We can kind of use some discretion of our knowledge of the area and the direction we foresee growth going to kind of say what area are we really referring to in an area like this. So expanding, say, that yellow town commercial area in the future land use map to include Mr. Bowling's property would not be unheard of. And what we might actually see, because this followed parcel lines so closely, is that perhaps the residential should have kind of kept along that north side of 500 North a little bit further, maybe touching State Road 9 or something. So anyway, and the town commercial district, in addition, includes, once again, a broad variety of uses and potential zoning districts. So also maybe that town commercial area should have expanded out a little further to contain more of the village of Maxwell itself. So once again, with the comprehensive plan, it's a little fuzzy on the edges. In this particular area, it did feel like that town commercial was appropriate to expand upward a little bit and apply to this property, more so than planned neighborhood, which is really more like someday when it's ready, new subdivisions. In an area like this, someday when it's ready, new town commercial seemed a little bit more applicable, especially given what I have heard about the State Road 9 corridor plan, which is more ag-related, that was recently presented at a recent HEDC board meeting. We'll have to get more information on that. We're excited about it. Okay. So you can see here where those two land use areas are compared. Planned neighborhood areas are intended to include large, compact master plan tracts with a wide variety of integrated and compatible uses, housing, basic services, supporting public facilities, traditional neighborhood design, and town commercial is areas mapped in the town of Shirley and some of the unincorporated villages and smaller parcels interspersed throughout the county. These consist of a variety of commercial uses in various configurations with specific intensities determined by zoning. Use of this category outside of the towns or villages should be limited. We're still in that town of Maxwell, or village of Maxwell overlay area, which once again is why that town commercial future land use bubble felt appropriate for this property. So town commercial uses, as referred to by the comp plan, include multifamily residential, mixed use commercial with residential, community and neighborhood parks and rec uses, institutional uses, general commercial and office uses, intensive commercial uses such as service stations, auto repair, auto sales, contractor shops, repair shops, fabrication, storage, etc. Outdoor storage is discouraged and should be screened at a minimum. So that's the guidance given by our comprehensive plan. Okay. Here's a little image of this site as it stands, well, most recently, within the last year or two. This is after Mr. Bowling demolished the house that was on the east side of the property. It shows a pole barn that was already on the site. And the reason Mr. Bowling reached out to me initially was because he wanted to build another barn or add on to his barn. And I had to tell him, we only allow accessory structures in the R1.0 zoning if there's a primary structure. He had torn down his primary structure, the house, and had no desire to rebuild a house on this site. So he's kind of navigating the rezone process because he wants to enlarge or build another barn on this site without a house. So that's, and you can see the little gas substation cut out on the right side here. He submitted the picture at the bottom as kind of a proposed image of what he foresees building on the site. I could definitely see this like as a kind of either behind or rotated, so we wouldn't foresee like all that driveway out onto Junction Street. The highway department would definitely review any drive cuts, things like that. And as part of our permitting process later on. So don't get hung up on that part. And we would review the outside as it relates to the village overlay district. So is something like this appropriate with the grain elevator behind it? Maybe with a few bells and whistles, quite possibly. Mr. Bowling has done a good job of landscaping the site. You can see the landscaping and fence that he has put on the site without anybody asking. And you can see that this, looks very pleasing as you go down 500 North already. All right, on to the fun part. Here's all the uses that are permitted in R 1.0 and in CC, so you can see that side-by-side comparison. I went through this and I took out anything that was adult-oriented or alcohol use because we're right across from a school. I also, and I put a red and a line across them, strike those out. Then when we got to auto-oriented uses, I highlighted those because I'm also a little concerned about those on this particular road at this location and on a small lot. We have had issues with auto sales, auto repair, convenience stores, things like that in these village areas. They don't work well, especially near a major intersection in a congested area. So that's why I highlighted those. You can review this list if you'd like, or I'm happy to read any of them off. A wide variety of commercial uses are permitted in the CC zoning district. Once again, this is all in the village overlay, so any use that would happen would have to comply with that village overlay district. Okay, let's see.
So can I ask real quick on that? I know you have your recommendations later, but why did you not include something like convenience store that sells alcohol and tobacco? Or, there's some other ones that seem like they would also have a lot of traffic.
If it was convenience store without gas station,
Yeah, that'd be it.
I didn't deal with it. I felt like a neighborhood convenience store like Mom and Pop's might be appropriate.
So even if they sold alcohol and tobacco, that's okay.
I assume that somebody else is also going to get into the alcohol review, like the alcohol board that deals here. But definitely, if that's a use you don't see as appropriate there, we can, once again, strike it. And I don't foresee that as something that Mr. Bowling's looking at doing, but I also, if we're looking at big picture zoning, I'm trying not to be overly restrictive because we don't know what the future holds. So we're trying to think big picture when we think about zoning.
Property just to the west of that, is that commercial or is that residential also?
To the west, 383, it is not, it is zoned R 1.0. I'm not aware of a business occurring there.
Doesn't look like a residential house. That's the reason why I was asking.
I don't disagree with you. I have not received a complaint about it.
Nor am I complaining. I'm just asking because.
You have now received a complaint.
No. Because, if he's putting a business, that looks like a business, and I don't know why. It just looks like it probably would go with that area at that point. Now, the houses to the east all look like houses, but those two do not. So I don't know, just asking. So
I wish I had a better answer for you because I've asked that a little myself. And maybe it was a similar situation where there had been a house and now there's not. Or, like I said, I'm not totally sure, but I'm not aware of that. And maybe somebody lives in the barn. That's unfortunately we've had mixed results sometimes in applying our village overlay standards, but it's possible. But yeah, that's the best I can do on information on that one. But I can tell you that's also why Mr. Bowling probably thought this was a safe property to buy.
So the CC that's there, where the old elevators at and stuff,
Yes.
It has a lot of restrictions in that area, does it not?
The elevator use itself,
Yeah. Or it seems like when things had to be replaced there, it was a big issue about, the footprint and how it fit exact and what could be replaced, what could not be replaced. I mean, I think there's a long history with this strip, so I was just curious.
with that particular use, yes, there was with the last Plan Commission director. I believe Mike Dale had to come back to the BZA or the Plan Commission. There's several folders on it. And ultimately, it was decided that those grain bins could be built again. They were falling apart or had suffered fire. So, yep. Grandfathered in.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm saying, though. It's kind of a grandfathered CC in there. But we're talking about expanding that CC, so.
Well, it's kind of interesting because the CC zoning is placed on the grain elevator, but the use of grain elevator is not permitted in the CC. So it's even grandfathered in CC zoning.
Oh, okay, I guess that's what I'm trying to.
But yeah, should that, let's say the grain elevator is just no longer relevant, it gets abandoned, and we're going to say left for a number of years and the site's vacant. It is a CC zone property and would be held to the same standards as any other CC zone property. We would look at those CC uses in the village overlay.
Thank you, that helps. I knew there was something I was missing there.
Caleb, I have a question. Did Dr. Olin reach out at all with any kind of concerns that he might have?
No.
With that, because of all the reorganization of Greenfield schools?
Oh, no, he did not. Mm-mm.
While we're on, if you're taking questions, while we're on this land use matrix, we've had different points of view when considering this. Sometimes we say, oh, we know how we're going to use it. We're going to turn a blind eye to everything else and say contractor storage yard, this is it. And if you want to do something else, you need to come back for it. I think that's a different point of view than what we're seeing tonight, which is a more sustainable, less administratively burdensome, where we say you could do all these things, even though we're going to use it as a storage contractor yard, and then that can be inherited down the line with this rezoning. Two different ways. So is this kind of the way of the future? We're thinking something more sustainable, less administratively burdensome, or it's we have this in hand, go for it, but want to do something else, come back here. I just want to get what's our point of view?
Yeah, so typically with zoning in particular and amendments to our zoning map, we like to say yes to zoning if we could foresee it happily being a number of these different types of uses at this location, if it would be appropriate. In the case of the contractor's storage yard, warehouse, it's going back for a special exception as well. So we know that part is going to get further reviewed. Really, in these cases, we're trying to be a little bit more open-minded than we are, say, at the BZA. Also, I think you're probably remembering the Outback Storage rezone, which was very particular for a very particular reason because of all of the uses that absolutely were not appropriate, except for this one, which we were okaying. So in this case, there's a wide variety, at least in my mind, that in the village of Maxwell, across from a school, adjacent to housing, quite possibly could be appropriate. So I've picked the ones, and in the last presentation as well, that are absolutely no way, no how. I can't foresee this in the next 50 to 100 years being appropriate at this location. So things like, in this case, things that are requiring a lot of vehicle in and out, or that are adult-oriented, alcohol-oriented.
My only other follow-up question is there any rezone that would allow for this pole barn to be constructed as designed? Is this the closest to it?
This is the closest, least intensive way to do it.
Got it. Thank you.
So that's why this was looked at. If you go up, once again, to industrial zoning, sure, it's permitted. But we don't want to zone this industrial because that's not appropriate in the village of Maxwell. All right, so I've given my staff recommendation here. Let's see. Yep, I think I show it more on the next page. Once again, a lot of my answers are, this is appropriate, this meets the criteria. so long as development is in accordance with those village overlay requirements. All right, that's all I've got.
Any more questions for Kayla? Nope. Nope. All right. Oh.
If this was just still residential property, zone that, and he had a house on there, he'd be able to build another building, correct?
As an accessory structure to his home. And as long as he did not cover the lot coverage too much,
So there's other restrictions.
there
is
would
what
be
you're
other
trying to say,
restrictions.
Just in that alone, so, I mean, if he wanted to do something like that, he'd have to come back to you anyhow, or the other.
He would definitely need a permit, and if he was doing it by the book and correctly, he would need to get a home occupation with variances. Which, once again, he had no intention, even if a house was on this site, to live in that house. He's still living in a home not here, so.
Okay. All good? Ready for the petitioner? All right, is Mr. Bowling here? Yeah, come on up.
Do you swear or affirm, under the penalty of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep, I do.
State your name and spell your last name.
Austin Bowling, Bowling.
Okay. 10 minutes.
But Caleb nailed it, I think. When I first bought the place, the house was crumbling down. All the foundation, the wood around it was rotting, and I intentionally bought it to clean it up, make it look good, and use the barn for storage, personal storage. And right now, I do keep a truck and trailer there that I use every day. I am a contractor for a lawn care company, my company, but I sub out everything I do, so no employees will be coming to, if this is approved and I can build a new barn, no employees will come to this address, so there won't be a bunch of cars in and out. Back to the house, I'm sorry. The house I tore it down because it'd take way more money to fix it than it would be worth, replacing it or something, so, and it was very ugly and took out a bunch of trees that were overgrown over the top of the barn that was existing there. So I took all that out, cleaned it up, and that's where we're at. I know some of the concerns were traffic, which, like I said, it's just myself being there. The school provides that all enough problems as it is for that. Not that this matters or anything to you guys, but I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times my mailbox has been knocked down. People driving too close and hitting it between 7:30 and then 2:30 in the afternoon. It gets wild. So, yeah, the barn next door to the right-hand side, I could have swore that was commercial, and Kayla told me it was residential, and I mean, that's not my business, so I'm not going to say much on it. So, but you know what I mean. So,
Okay. Were you okay with the staff recommendations of striking alcohol uses and making special exceptions for all auto uses and all that?
The alcohol, yeah, that doesn't need to be around here, nowhere near my property. The autos kind of, I'm not going to start an auto sales lot there or repair lot or anything like that, but, depending on what you're trying to talk about, like my trucks going in and out of there with, me. I don't know what you mean by the auto part of
Yeah,
it.
I think she was just getting at uses that have a lot of cars coming. So an auto repair, auto sale, gas station, car wash, oil change.
None of that would be even thought of.
Okay.
So. And the barn that was shown preferably would be on the back side or to the right-hand side back corner.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be nowhere near the road. And I don't know how the gas line plays a part in any of this. I know I got an easement, or I sold an easement, or I'm letting Central Point Energy this year, I think it is, they bought an easement from me to do some repairs on it. And basically is from, I think, my property line over where the road, the fence where their fence ends, that they got it fenced in, that over to the property line back. So I still have a good amount of property from my barn to that easement area. That
Okay.
could a barn be put on
Okay.
or in the back.
This could be a
Mhm.
Road 9 corridor.
I'd love to see Junction Street get wider. Because they're like across the street from me, there's a pretty good dip, and if you get too far off the road, and like I said, people's been hitting my mailboxes. When I first bought the place, the mailbox was on the ground.
Yeah.
I had to have that replaced. So.
Okay.
And like you've seen in the pictures, I've cleaned it up a lot. So I think going forward, I think it would look good.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Any more questions for the petitioner? No? All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Do we have anybody that wants to speak in opposition to this rezoning? All right, none? You technically have a rebuttal period, but you don't have anything to rebut, so are you all good? So, okay. Any discussion? All right.
I guess the only question is there anything else besides what was recommended if you wanted to prohibit or require to go through BZA?
The only thing might be the residential uses, but directly adjacent residential uses, so. Again, it's the point of view. We know what's going to be, we either say it is or it's, these are all the things it can be and have at it. And don't come back to us and clog the agenda.
Yeah.
Kayla, what is the title we're trying to give to this besides CC in the zone? Contractor's warehouse or institutional, or what are we?
The land use?
Yes.
Yes, the land use he's looking at would be classified either as a contractor's warehouse or a contractor's storage yard.
So he'd have to come back to the BZA.
Correct.
I'm going to go back to Lacey's question again. Normally, when we've done these before, we've narrowed it to the use that the petitioner has asked for, correct?
Not particularly.
Not always.
Very much, I mean, sometimes we've set roughly, I mean, really, we've had a little while since we've done one like this, to be honest. Can we think of, like, what's a recent one we've done? The reversion back to ag from IBP. Sometimes we do it to RR.
My mind is going, so like medical clinic is listed as a permitted use. It's across from a school. It could be a drug rehab medical clinic. I mean, these are the kind of things that would fit into that category. It's across from a school. So you've got to think really broadly on these terms about these uses because they would be a permitted use. Just wanted to point that out.
When we do a rezoning and we exclude all uses except for the specific use that we're talking about, that we're rezoning it for, that's always seemed a little odd to me that we were basically just making our own little special exception for a parcel. So I've kind of preferred this where we just strike a handful, but I mean, to Rhonda's point, maybe there are a few more in here that should be.
So the process, if we strike them all and say this use, it's rezoned, the process would be to come back to this board in order to expand it for additional use.
Right.
And then we would have to qualify whatever applicant it would be for that group home or medical clinic or whatever it is, given the adjacency. So it's just, it just routes it back here for that approval.
It'd be just an amendment.
That's significant expense and time to an average Hancock County residence. I would prefer the other way we look at it, which is if there are uses additionally that we need to strike off the list, let's do that. Or additional permitted uses that rather should be a special exception, like the auto-oriented. Once again, if we look back at our comprehensive plan for guidance, appropriate uses in the town commercial land use area include multifamily, mixed use such as residential, commercial, and office on the same lot, institutional uses such as schools, churches, and local government facilities, general commercial and office uses, in addition to intensive commercial uses with screened outdoor storage. So this is an area that's supposed to be vibrant and varied. And my hope is, fingers crossed, that we do get sanitary sewer lines through the village of Maxwell within the next couple of years. That, along with growth we're seeing along that State Road 9 corridor, could really expand the possibilities in this area. But a lot of uses are actually very appropriate according to our comp plan in this area. So strike out the ones that are absolutely no way, or make them go to the BZA for a special exception. I would prefer that we go at it from that angle. I'd like to say yes to more people when they come into my office.
We're just talking about 1.5 acres.
Correct.
I don't know how many of these things would actually go on 1.5 acres.
Yeah, I don't know how you put a supermarket or a convenience store, and plus that'd be that'd be even more traffic than the auto places.
That'd be a small cemetery, let me tell you.
I am noticing that some of these that I might consider striking are already special exceptions, so I'd give the BZA a look at it as well. Okay. All right. Any additional discussion?
I mean, I think this is instructive for future handling of these as well. So we're saying, we're agreeing that to reduce administrative burden, we would open it up as wide as possible, even though some of these could not be effectuated.
Yeah, that used to be years ago. That was kind of our way. There were this was a little reminiscent of 10 plus years ago, where we would do a rezone and it seemed like alcohol uses got struck almost regularly, and some of the kind of the sin type businesses, I guess, and if they were anywhere close to a neighborhood or a school or anything like that. So this is kind of reminiscent of that, to, like Kayla was saying, just long term, in the hopes that this is now properly zoned for what we think that this area should become, and it's ready for that, with the exception of a few of these things that don't belong there today. Now, if a gas station were to go in there, then the highway department may require a widened Junction Street, maybe. So maybe that would be good. So, all right. So if there's any discussion on striking any additional uses, we could have a motion. We've got our standard things would be a favorable or unfavorable recommendation to the commissioners, or a no recommendation to the commissioners, or we could always table and continue if we need more time.
I'd like to make a motion for a favorable recommendation with the staff recommendations 1 and 2 for the prohibition on adult uses and requirement of the BZA approval to attach.
Second.
Okay. Derek. So, all right, moved and seconded for a favorable recommendation with the staff recommendations as stated by Ms. Lacy. We'll call the roll on this, sorry. Just get that all in the record.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Mr. Fowl.
Yes.
All right, so you'll be off to the commissioners then. Well, that'll be Will he be this week or the 31st?
I think it might be on the 31st, but I will get
31st.
in touch with Sarah and.
Okay, she'll contact you on that, yeah. All right, that concludes our hearing items for this evening. Move on to other business. First item is our fee schedule.
That was from last time.
There are not any updates for this board on the fee schedule update at this time.
Okay.
Scott Woldridge and I did discuss some ideas about fee increases specifically to BZA fees associated with industrial commercial uses because of their higher likelihood to result in higher legal fees. However, there's also some state legislation occurring right now, and Rhonda spoke to me briefly before the meeting that we might want to have a better grasp on that before we move forward with updating our fee schedule.
Okay.
So I should have an update for you next month.
Okay. All right, item number 2 is our UDO update and our RFP proposals.
Yesterday at 4 p.m. was the deadline for submitting a UDO proposal for the UDO Light reformatting adoption support. We did receive one response from HWC Engineering. It is included in your packets. I have already reserved a spot on the commissioner's agenda on March 31st. That's as early as I could get to update our commissioners. My hope is that we'll have a little, some understanding of other parts of that process before that meeting. So I'll speak to Gary McDaniel a little bit more about if I can say move forward with securing funding or understanding that portion of it, things like that in advance. But yeah, this is our only proposal. There is actually a representative from HWC here tonight if you guys want to ask him any questions. But yeah, this is what we've got.
Kayla, can I ask you a question specifically? Is it unusual for us to only get one proposal? I mean, it's a pretty, a lot of people do this, I guess, I'm just saying. So is it unusual for us just to get one proposal?
It's a specialized kind of process. There's really a couple, from what I can tell, there's not a whole lot of people that do this type of work, and there's a lot of subcontracting going on with different pieces of different firms. I'm sure Brian has more to say on that, but I will also tell you that HWC is one of the original, one of the 2 that applied to do the UDO originally. Even the last time we advertised this, there were 2 that responded or that we interviewed. So it's a limited pool. Any questions on the contents?
I didn't have any questions. It was exactly what I was anticipating, and what I know that they had also spoken to Bill Spalding about thinking about some scope even prior to this RFP going out, and it matched up in line with that. The thing that was probably added from those initial discussions was the line item that is called targeted changes and the line item stakeholder coordination, which were a couple of things that what we could do this evening is we could agree to make a recommendation to the commissioners that we like this proposal, so we could recommend to the commissioners to go ahead and execute this. And I think we could do that also in stages. The basic scope of services, the $26,805, is the thing that we really need to get going on. That's the piece that's getting our subdivision control ordinance and our current zoning ordinance into a UDO format. The targeted changes, just as they note here, is where they would make some recommendations of some zoning changes for us. And I don't know that we necessarily need to do that right now. So that could be, we could offer that as an option. The commissioners could add that in now if they want, or wait and see how the thing looks and go from there. Stakeholder coordination, though, is one that I was internally debating myself on. That is, they're proposing holding a couple of stakeholder meetings. I think that would put some requirements on us to create that stakeholder group and get some additional public input. And so I haven't completely thought through that all the way myself, but as I was coming to this meeting this evening, my initial feeling was that unfortunately we only got one, but it is a good proposal and it's what we were expecting. And I think that basic scope of services 1 through 17 is something that, in order to try and get something in place by the end of the year, it would be great if we could get this moving with the commissioners on the 31st, is just my thought.
Is this coming out of your budget or commissioner's budget?
I'd have to track down funding. That's another reason I kind of want to get a move on it, because it'll take a little while. I'll have to go to council to ask for funds.
Okay, so it's not just the commissioners that have to approve it.
That's correct. And I think, I'm trying to remember what we talked about. The commissioners were going to work on maybe finding some funding as well, correct, for that? So there was going to be a
If they have it
joint.
in their budget, then they can
Yeah.
do it themselves.
It was going to be a
Could
joint
very
thing.
easily have that in our budget.
They can do it themselves.
And I think
I think we do need the stakeholder coordination for, when we had our first public meeting here, when was that? Last year sometime?
Last April.
Did not go well.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I almost wonder, and maybe Brian can come up and talk about that, but I'm almost wondering if we need that formatting done before we start to show it.
I agree,
Yeah,
yes,
So that's why I'm
absolutely.
thinking the stages, we could go ahead and execute phase 1 and then step into the next couple of phases or something. Maybe you can kind of talk to that a little bit if
Yeah,
you have
people
a
were
minute.
having a hard time understanding
Yeah.
the side by side.
Right.
Good evening. Brian Stump with HWC Engineering. So yes, the scope that we have in front of you is really sort of two major phases. One is combining the current zoning and subdivision control into a unified development ordinance, and then the adoption of those. The way we envision the other parts, the targeted changes would happen as part of the creation of the UDO. Because as we go through this process, I guess, so that way it would be incorporated into the first draft of the UDO if there's any of those tweaks or adjustments that would like to be made. And then once we'll review that with staff, come back with the second draft, that's what will be out to the public. Again, we're using your current language, just it's really more of a formatting and preparing the document for future changes. The way that we do our ordinances, everything's in Word, so you can change it in the future. Our goal is to set you up with a strong foundational document, taking your current regulations so that it can move forward. Regarding the stakeholder elements, these would be virtual meetings that would happen after we have the draft, just to talk to these groups, show them the document, get them comfortable with it and just familiar with it as before it goes through the approval process. Now, one of the other things that we'll be doing, things aren't going to totally line up, or there's certain duplication that happens just by nature between when you've got a separate subdivision control ordinance and zoning ordinance. So as we go through this process, we'll be identifying those areas of conflict, be working with Kayla on that on how to address those as we create the draft. We'll also be creating a game plan based off of concerns we've heard. So this is really about just putting your current language in two separate documents into one, but we'll be making a game plan as part of our scope to identify the changes that should be made and sort of when, so you can roll those out over time.
At this point, there is no actual dollar that you're going to bring to this board, right? That'll have to be negotiated.
There's a number.
There's a number.
There, I didn't see it. I looked through there a couple times. I must have missed
It's,
it. Okay.
it's under, it's kind of enough.
It's on page 6.
It's the-
That piece,
yeah.
so, sorry. Thank you.
Are there any exclusions to that number that you want to call out now that aren't called out in here, that you typically would, because you've engaged a lot, but any exclusions that are typical?
Yeah, I'd say the one exclusion would be just graphics. So we're going to use your existing graphics, obviously tables and things like that. Those will be formatted so that you've got a document that's, we always go for, just clear and concise and be easy to use. But graphics are one that can consume quite a bit of hours. And again, if there's going to be a few changes in the future, we'll just use your existing graphics and integrate those into the document.
Okay, for some other questions. I see you've done some, you maybe called out Putnam, Morristown, and Crawfordsville. In Morristown, what would you say is the most successful outcome of their, the work that you did for them? Signage?
Yeah, the most
traffic?
successful
What's the-
outcome.
yeah.
So they had met for over 2 years. Their plan commission met for over 2 years, twice a month, if not more, and trying to get that ordinance done. We were brought in and we're able to get them through a slightly different process, different ordinance style, but we were able to create a UDO for them. And from our kickoff meeting to adoption was right around 4 months.
Okay, but what's the most successful content that came out of that?
What has helped them the most is probably some of their enforcement language that we added into our ordinance. That I don't necessarily know if that's in your base language, but it's one of the things that while UDO tends to be future oriented on many things, I always like to have language that looks at the nuisance aspects of what citizens look for.
Interesting.
In some protections from zoning.
Okay, what would you say, knowing us and knowing our RFP, are the major risks for deployment that we have to monitor for this?
I'm sorry, say again, please.
What risks do we have in working through this to an end product, knowing what you know about us now, concerns?
Yeah, so your signage ordinance, so things that are already in my mind about changes that you need to make. One of those, there's two main buckets. One are things that you need to address due to changes in state law. Again, this is one that you've got, again, this is more of a formatting exercise than any changing the text of the ordinance. So as we look forward to the future and identifying language changes, I would right off the bat, I see signage as one that, just because of case law and things that have happened with signage, making sure that that fits. Second would be looking at your different residential districts as a whole, and are there districts that need to be added to the ordinance or adjusted in the ordinance to better align with your comprehensive plan? And then looking at the development standards within those districts to make sure that they're aligning with the vision that's in your comprehensive plan.
Right, and give me just a high-level sketch of that end product. You're talking about existing content, you're talking about new content, and are you also mapping in why we have this new content or what content has been dropped for us as well in this process? If you could just kind of sketch what that draft day of the UDO off the top of your head.
Yeah, so from the creation of it, we're going to use your existing language between the two elements. There might be some areas just where there are potential conflicts in language. We'll work with the planning department on how to best address those, should we have conflicts that way. I think that this is one that, again, because we're not changing the language, it's just more of a formatting. It's going to be more of a making sure that it's easy for people to see where it is today and how it got and where it is in the new UDO.
Good. And then I just have two more questions. I'll go quickly. Who is your client? Who do you see as your client in this? Because you got a capital C client and a bunch of us. Who's the client you're working with, ideally?
Ideally, it's the county. And I guess I would say that I view my client as the planning commission and the county commissioners. It has to be something that they're willing to adopt.
So what version of the client is best able, how would you work? Like, I'm just like, is it a group? Is there is it Kayla? What's the?
That can vary. With this type of process, given that this is more, frankly, administrative, and we're not doing big policy changes, it'll likely be with probably a task group with the planning staff.
Last question from me. Would you be open to a postscript number 18 that says, here's what we planned, here's what didn't get through, here's what you should do before you do this, it's here's what didn't get through? Because there might be some things or some sequencing that just needs you have the final, but then there's an adoption. We're in a change management program right now for a comprehensive plan. We should anticipate we need the same for something like this. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so as far as we'll do the final document, after it is adopted, that's when we create from a production standpoint, getting the weeds here, from a production standpoint, we do things in Word because we want it accessible and easy for the county to change in the future. And then the other deliverable is a PDF of the UDO, which is word searchable and has hyperlinks, things of that nature. So
yeah, I'm thinking more of the things that did not get through. It's just that we have a registry of that as well.
Yeah. Again, working with your existing language, yes, we'll keep tabs on that of those items that go through. The other part would be those things would be the elements that would be captured in the game plan, or just identifying future changes.
I don't know that there's alignment on the content to the extent that maybe, I think that's going to be a question.
What do you mean on the content? The content is,
Any new content, we're all agreed that the content is settled, it's just a formatting?
well, and that's what I wanted to kind of that was my question, I guess, is to clarify. So targeted changes, I think I might have missed what you said there. So I don't want to speak completely for the commissioners, but what we're looking for is like a pretty very transparent process. So we're doing this kind of radical thing where we're taking our two documents and I know it's not radical, you do it all the time, but we're taking our two documents and making a unified development ordinance. And that's scaring people a little bit because they feel like, here's this new document, what did you change? Mm-hmm. So I think what we want to present to the commissioners is a document. Maybe there are some changes in there, like you said, that have to be made because of state laws and things like that that have changed over time. Our stuff's old. But will there be a pretty clear executive summary that says, we did this thing, here's a list of the things that are changing because of it, and then here are a list of things that we think that you should consider changing next. Is that?
Yeah.
Do I have that kind of right?
I'm really not envisioning this with changing the language of your ordinance. The targeted changes were in the RFP.
Mm-hmm.
The things that were mentioned were accessory dwelling units and home occupations.
Yeah.
And just kind of clarifying some of those things. Mm-hmm. So that's really, this scope is focused on very little, very few changes to the language. This is more of establishing a new UDO for you that is structured such that you can make those revisions in the future. And with that is our proposal or recommendations on future changes.
Okay, so the $9,500 is the ones we asked for, which was the couple that we struggled with. Okay,
exactly.
So you're going to rewrite those.
It's very narrow, because understanding the situation about the concern of the language and just it's going to seem different, right? It's just the fact that they're together and the format is going to be different.
So the deliverable will be current language in a new format with a couple of changes, accessory dwelling units and home occupation.
Yes, and we'll be very clear about what those changes are.
Yeah, and then maybe a list of things that might have had to change because of changes in state law and things, and then we would move to this stakeholder coordination where you would help us to roll it out with some focus groups and things. Okay.
Exactly. Just to introduce them to the ordinance.
I can imagine that if you stumble upon something or something jumps off the page, as you're going through this, you would go to Kayla would come to Mike would come to the commissioners, or kind of keeping everyone in the loop of any changes that jump off the page.
But as far as we're not dealing with substantive content changes here. This is more of it's how the current regulations are packaged.
Right, which is exactly what we're in the market for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Brian? Well, thanks for coming out and explaining that to us. So what we could do this evening is we could continue this another month if you want to take it, read it, think about it more, or we could forward it on with a recommendation to have Kayla present it to the commissioners. I think she's on the agenda for the 31st of March, which actually gives you some more time if you had any more questions. And then,
is there a contract that will be available to review, or how will that be prepared?
That's a good point.
That was one of the quick things to talk about real quick.
Okay.
Officially in the RFP, we request for an interview process. Given that there is one applicant, that's up to you guys, but surely if you would like to, we can schedule an interview of the team to have more of a understanding of the project. I would need to know, and I think I would need your help on this, Rhonda, to make sure we were all good, who is going to be interviewing who's going to be at that meeting, so we don't have any quorum issues. And I would love to see a draft of a contract so that hopefully if we were to get, say, a recommendation, I could arrive at the 331 BOC meeting with a contract that Scott Banky and Rhonda have both had an option to already review.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the best course of action.
Okay. So with that, we really don't need to take an action necessarily this evening.
Can I get like a blessing or a thumbs up to proceed? Yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
Go ahead.
We will be able to have this back on the agenda before it goes to commissioners next month? Is that what you're saying?
At the March 24th meeting?
March 24th, yeah.
Okay. And then that meeting would be a recommendation to the commissioners
Yeah.
to enter into the contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we are interviewing HWC and getting a draft contract prepared. Sounds,
Yeah, so I would say, assume we're all okay with Caleb proceeding with setting up an interview. You can round up a group of us to participate in that.
like you guys to self-identify who's going to be on that committee. Yeah.
All right. Who are the volunteers to participate and Meet the Team?
Janine Gray.
Thank you, Scott.
Janine
Council.
and Scott. How many do you think we should have? 3?
Yeah, as much as
Like Long
4.
should be on
And
that.
Mike will do it. Maybe one other officer, Mr. Toll or Renee, either one of you available?
I can be available, it just
Okay.
depends on the day.
On the
so
day? Okay,
It varies.
Probably goes for me and Janine too.
okay.
I mean, it does, for everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay,
I don't mind doing it. I mean, I'm familiar
Yep.
with this process.
yep. So let's plan on Janine, Derek, Scott, and Mike for that committee. And you can
Select the dates.
select a couple dates and get with us. Legal.
Probably
Should s-
wouldn't hurt to have Rhonda there.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Smart.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that. Item number 3, Shirley Interlocal Agreement Draft Revisions Update.
I don't have anything for Shirley. Oh, did we?
Oh,
you're looking
at you, man.
Okay.
She didn't say a thing to me since the last meeting.
Surely there's something to talk about.
I was referring to this subject.
All right, well, moving on, if we could, did Shirley appoint the gentleman that was at the last BZA meeting as your alternate member to the BZA?
I can't answer that.
Okay,
I've heard something, but I don't know if they've actually done it.
okay, all right. But you found somebody, so.
I'm under the impression that, yes, they have found someone. And I think they've got a meeting this week scheduled, so it may be official this week.
Okay, so moving into that, is that okay, Mike, if I?
Yeah. Yeah.
The BZA alternate member appointment from the Plan Commission also needs to be made. Now, this is kind of tricky because a lot of you are already serving or appointed from other boards and bodies, which the BZA member really can't be. It really, as far as I could tell, limits it to Dean or Derek. Once again, this is an alternate member for Mike to appear if Mike ever can't show up at the BZA.
Always there.
He's always there.
Yeah, Mike's good at making it.
I show up
He's got a vacation though planned, so that's why they're doing it.
12 months.
Okay, I can do it.
Sounds like
All right.
Dean's volunteering.
So if
Yeah.
Told.
so we have a nomination. I think Derek just nominated Dean. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded to appoint Dean Fout as our alternate member appointment of the BZA from the Planning Commission. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Backyard chickens.
Backyard chickens, very good. This is what they talk about.
Yeah. All right, item 5,
That's before BZA.
25 annual report is out.
Yep, so this is ready to, it's also on that 331 BOC agenda to just present to the Board of Commissioners. Hopefully Scott's back from his knee surgery by then to help me with that building side of that. Have you all had a chance to kind of look through this? Okay. Is there anything you want to talk about?
I know I had this presented to me already by her at another meeting, and we talked about how expensive the Green Township homes are.
Yeah, that was stuck out at me too.
Yeah, that came up during our discussion.
But there's a couple homes up there that I can see that would bring that, so.
It's very skewed.
Oh, very much so. I did review that.
They're all in
piece,
one
so.
little area.
Yes,
too.
they are.
Yeah, but about the same family, I think.
Yes, they are.
So,
Oh, okay.
And then the anesthesiologist down there.
yeah, you can pretty much pick out who that is, so.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion to approve that?
That'd be great.
I'll move to approve the annual report, 2025 annual report as submitted by staff.
And I will second that.
All right, moved and seconded to approve the annual report as submitted by staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. It's good information. Does this get sent around to, I assume the commissioners everybody gets this, right?
I did send it to the commissioners as well, but yeah, I'm happy to, I was actually thinking I could post this on our website.
Yeah, it's
Is that-
good information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm happy to do that.
All right. We want to drag item 6 out for 20 minutes to get to 9 o'clock.
No.
Southern Hancock seat vacancy on the Plat committee. We had any movement on that?
Not since we last spoke. So Joe Donninger has retired from the Plat Committee, which leaves a vacancy for somebody from the Southern Hancock or New Palestine School Corporation. Joe was kind enough to give me a name of a neighbor he thought would be a good candidate. I really haven't reached out past that to double check interest or anything. And then I've been kind of floating that information that, hey, there's an opening for somebody interested in this board, as I've seen people. But if you know of anybody who lives in the Southern or New Palestine school district and wants to be on the Plat Committee, so has some understanding of how minor subdivisions work, utility easements, things like that, they potentially would be a really good candidate for Plat Committee. They meet one time a month, move to 8 a.m. on the typically like the third Thursday of the month, and meet for like half an hour to go over minor subs.
Who are all excluded? Like, is Mike Long excluded?
Ooh, I would have to double check, but I think yes.
I think I am, yeah.
Because Byron is the appointment from the Plan Commission on the Plat Committee.
And does it have to be, it just has to be in the school district? It could be in the town of New Pal, it could be in the
Sugar
town.
Creek Township.
Or Brandywine Township?
Okay.
If Mike wanted to really be on there, I could switch to Sugar Creek and he could be planning.
Town manager, town board member.
I
Yeah, I was going to ask elected official. Could elected official be on it?
Rhonda, do you see any reason that would be, I don't think we have really solid rules for how the Plat Committee gets appointed by the Plan Commission. Could they be a town manager of New Pal or something?
I don't know that right offhand. I'd have to look at.
Me too. We can double check that if you have a candidate.
I could. Couple that are elected that would probably do a very good job.
Did you happen to check with Gary Poole? He knows that engineering community. He might know somebody that in the area that has the knowledge.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah.
I nominate Gary Poole. He lives in our area too.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is it. Anybody have anything else? Words of wisdom?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor,
That
say
was
aye.
quick.
Aye. Opposed? Right.